got the guys in the building. We got the guys in the building. Got guys in the building. We do not care about your feelings. We do not care about your feelings. Got guys in the building. We got the guys in the building. We got the guys in the building. Got guys in the building. We do not care about your feelings. We do not care about your feelings. Don't care about you. The scriptures we shake and bake. Watching our Babylon make it quake. Our people, they see us, we make them say. The government come back to come say that they make a pay. That's what the Bible say. G is for greatest, O is for overkill. P is for dominate. S for superior, yeah, but we win it still. You heathens, you making me mad. So I'm go out and prophesy. Esau will appear so bad. Your DNA full of lies. The prayers and sellers, the killers who teaching your offspring not to be with us. You dance today. I can read. My God and my Bible is civil indeed. We got the guys in the building. We got the guys in the building. Got guys in the building. We do not care about your feelings. We do not care about your feelings. Got guys in the building. We got the guys in the building. We got the guys in the building. Got guys in the building. We do not care about your feelings. We do not care about your feelings. Don't care about you.
See, I ain't new to this. Water or blue with French that jewelry. From Pompey to Julius. Slave markets full, hot niggas look coonery. Bringing you down like denominators. You gon' get dealt with, cannot escape. The corner your block be annihilated. The world is ours, the kingdom wait. The money you chasing, the car that you driving, the car you apply to get robbed, but you nothing. God's in the building, the reason you hiding, the lies that you teaching cannot save nobody. Why won't we all just love? Why won't we all just hug? Now where was that shit? When we was all in boats, coast to coast, hating our brothers the most.
We got the guys in the building. We got the guys in the building. Got guys in the building. We do not care about your feelings. We do not care about your feelings. Got guys in the building. We got the guys in the building. We got the guys in the building. Got guys in the building. We do not care about your feelings. We do not care about your feelings. Don't care about you. My people visual. I guess that they lost all their vision though. What's the residual? We got nothing back, we ain't stick to the principle. Don't let them riddle you. We do it big and they do it minuscule. They placing a hit on you. They finding ways to try to get rid of you. Eat and behave. Stop finding out ways to put us in graves. I am too grave. Obadiah in a sensitive page. Read it and weep. Bunch of dead bodies out on the street. Who's that just came out of Basra? He came out of nowhere just like a thief. We got the guys in the building. We got the guys in the building. Got guys in the building. We do not care about your feelings. We do not care about your feelings. Got guys in the building. We got the guys in the building. We got the guys in the building. Got guys in the building.
All right. Shalom, Israel. Most High in Christ bless to you all. Captain Zakar here. We're going to be reading 2 Samuel 21 through 24. Try to finish it out today. Turn my phone here. If we got a brother online that can scribe, that would be excellent. Okay. All right. Let's get into it here. So, sisters that are online, this is online church. Refrain from typing all the thoughts that are in your head. Every time I say something, you want to comment on it. I don't need that, nor does the Lord want it. Keep silence in the church. This is online church right now. If you got questions, brothers or sisters, that you hear as we read, just send them to IUIC classrooms, and we captains, we go through and we answer the questions. We reply back to sensible questions and requests for you. So just send them there. It might be a day or two before we get to it because we got so many on there. But it's a few of us captains that check the messages for the IUIC classrooms. Okay, so you got questions from today's readings or questions in general, just send them to IUIC classrooms on here and we'll take care of them. All right. Okay, so let's see here. 2 Samuel chapter 21 verse 1. It reads, "Then there was a famine in the days of David 3 years, year after year. And David inquired of the Lord, and the Lord answered, It is for Saul and for his bloody house, because he slew the Gibeonites. And the king called the Gibeonites and said unto them, Now the Gibeonites were not of the children of Israel, but of the remnant of the Amorites. And the children of Israel had sworn unto them. And Saul sought to slay them in his zeal to the children of Israel and Judah. Wherefore David said unto the Gibeonites, What shall I do for you, and wherewith shall I make the atonement, that ye may bless the inheritance of the Lord? So what is that? What is that going into? Let your yea be yea and your nay be nay. The words that go out of your mouth, the Lord holds us to those and will not let us escape. All right. So whatever comes out of your mouth, let it be done. Let it be yea, yea, nay, nay. Verse 4. And the Gibeonites said unto him, We will have no silver nor gold of Saul, nor of his house, neither for us shalt thou kill any man in Israel. And he said, What ye shall say, that will I do for you. And they answered the king, The man that consumed us, and that devised against us, that we should be destroyed from the remaining in any of the coast of Israel. Let 7 men of his sons be delivered unto us, and we will hang them up unto the Lord in Gibeah of Saul, whom the Lord did choose. And the king said, I will give them. Listen to this. But the king spared Mephibosheth, the son of Jonathan, the son of Saul, because of the Lord's oath that was between them, between David and Jonathan, the son of Saul. That's what I was saying, the first verse 1 through 3. Let your yea be yea, your nay be nays. All right. So he didn't touch Mephibosheth, because in previous chapters you read he made a covenant with Mephibosheth that he shall eat at his table all the days of his life. All right. Verse 8. Let me see something here. Bear with me, y'all. Okay. Verse 8. But the king took the 2 sons of Rizpah, the daughter of Iuic, whom she bare unto Saul, and Armani, and Mephibosheth, and the 5 sons of Michal, the daughter of Saul, whom she brought up for Adriel, the son of Barzillai, the Maholathite. And he delivered them into the hands of the Gibeonites. And they hanged them in the hill before the Lord, and they fell all 7 together, and were put to death in the days of harvest, in the first days, in the beginning of barley. Dang, so that he had to pay for it. His kids had to pay for his descendants had to pay for the sins of Saul. All right, verse 10. And Rizpah, the daughter of Iuic, took sackcloth, and spread it for her upon the rock, from the beginning of harvest until water dropped upon them out of heaven, and suffered neither the birds of the air to rest on them by day, nor the beasts of the field by night. And it was told David what Rizpah, the daughter of Iuic, the concubine of Saul, had done. So concubines' kids got sacrificed. I mean, it just is what it is when it comes to the Lord. Right? All right. It says, verse 12, and David went and took the bones of Saul and the bones of Jonathan his son from the men of Jabesh Gilead, which had stolen them from the street of Bethshan, where the Philistines had hanged them, when the Philistines had slain Saul in Gilboa. And he brought up from thence the bones of Saul and the bones of Jonathan his son, and they gathered the bones of them that were hanged. And the bones of Saul and Jonathan his son buried they in the country of Benjamin in Zelah, in the sepulchre of Kish his father. And they performed all that the king commanded. And after that God was entreated for the land. Moreover, the Philistines had yet war again with Israel, and David went down, and his servants with him, and fought against the Philistines. And David waxed faint. And Ishbosheth, which was of the sons of the giant, the weight of whose spear weighed 300 shekels of brass in weight, he being girded with a new sword, thought to have slain David. But Abishai, the son of Zeruiah, secured him, and smote the Philistine and killed him. Then the man of David sware unto him, saying, Thou shalt go no more out with us to battle, that thou quench not the light of Israel. So what's happening here? David's getting old. David's getting a little old. That strength that he once had is diminishing. He still got it, but it's not enough to take down a giant like he used to back in the day. Let's see here. Where was we at? Oh, 1 Samuel 28. Let me see something here. Bear with me, y'all. Am I in 1 Samuel? Let's see. Bear with me, y'all. I might be a little ahead of us. Let me see. Bear with me, y'all. 23rd. Okay. 1 Samuel 28 through 31 was yesterday. Let's see. We should be past that. All right. Bear with me, y'all. Let me look at something here. I see. All right. First Samuel. Okay. I see. Feast days, y'all. All right. Yep. Okay, here we go. All right, so the schedule's jacked up. All right, we'll get it together here. Bear with me. Let's see. We got time. All right, let's see. Okay, I see where we at. 1 second, y'all. Let me do something here. Let me see. All right. Okay, so Tabernacles put a week back. Bear with me, y'all. All right. Okay. Boom. Okay. Okay. All right, here we go. All right. So we go to 2 Samuel chapter 1. All right. 2 Samuel chapter 1 through 4. All right. Scratch that, y'all. We backtracking. All right. 2 Samuel chapter 1. We start at the beginning, not the end of Samuel. Y'all know how it be September, man. It's the Lord's feast days. We got a lot of them. All right. Okay. So let's get it here. We go back 2 Samuel chapter 1 verse 1. All right, here we go. Now it came to pass after the death of Saul, when David was returned from the slaughter of the Amalekites, and David had abode 2 days in Ziklag. It came even to pass on the third day that, behold, a man came out of the camp from Saul with his clothes rent and earth upon his head. And so it was, when he came to David, that he fell to the earth and did obeisance. And David said unto him, From whence comest thou? And he said unto him, Out of the camp of Israel am I escaped. And David said unto him, How went the matter? I pray thee, tell me. And he answered, That the people are fled from the battle, and many of the people also are fallen and dead. And Saul and Jonathan his son are dead also. And David said unto the young man that told him, How knowest thou that Saul and Jonathan his son be dead? And the young man that told him said, As I happened by chance upon Mount Gilboa, behold, Saul leaned upon his spear, and lo, the chariots and horsemen followed hard after him. So you read back in the chapter that he tried to fall on the sword, but what happened was Saul didn't actually kill himself. Although he fell on the sword, he didn't die at that moment. All right. Verse 7, And when he looked behind him, he saw me and called unto me. And I answered, Here am I. And he said unto me, Who art thou? And I answered him, I am an Amalekite. If you don't know Amalekites, they are Esau. They are Edomites. Okay, that's back in Genesis chapter 30. You can read about the lineage of Esau, Amalek. Verse 9. He said unto me again, Stand, I pray thee, upon me, and slay me, for anguish is come upon me, because my life is yet whole in me. So I stood upon him and slew him, because I was sure that he could not live after that he was fallen. And I took the crown that was upon his head, and the bracelet that was on his arm, and have brought them hither unto my Lord. Then David took hold on his clothes and rent them, and likewise all the men that were with him. Now, you read about in Joshua where the Lord says, Rend thy heart and not thy garments. Now you understand, whenever we was in a sign of showing mourning, we would rip our garments. Okay, so that's what the Lord is referring to in that, about true repentance, not just showing it openly, but having true repentance. That's back in another one, I think it's Joel or somewhere. All right, but verse 12. It says, And they mourned and wept and fasted until even for Saul and for Jonathan his son, and for the people of the Lord, and for the house of Israel, because they were fallen by the sword. And David said unto the young man that told him, Whence art thou? And he answered, I am the son of a stranger, an Amalekite. And David said unto him, How wast thou not afraid to stretch forth thy hand to destroy the Lord's anointed? David said, even if he was about to die, you know how great we are as a people? You should have never laid hands on him. Should have let the judgment of the Lord just play itself out. But not you damn Amalekites. You shouldn't have touched him. And David, verse 15, and David called one of the young men and said, this is one of the young men that, one of his mighty men. Go near and fall upon him. And he smote him that he died. And David said unto him, Thy blood be upon thy head, for thy mouth hath testified against thee, saying, I have slain the Lord's anointed. Well, I was wanting a mighty man, but it's one of the 200, I think it was 200 men, one of the few hundred men that rode with David when he was running from Saul. Mighty man come later when David becomes king. All right. We're in 2 Samuel chapter 1, verse 17 now. And David lamented with lamentation over Saul and over Jonathan his son. Also he bade them teach the children of Judah the use of the bow. Behold, it is written in the book of Jasher. The book of Jasher is not with us today, is not in the book of the Lord, because God didn't want us to have it. All right, that's for you closet Israelites that be reading the book of Enoch, the book of Jasher, those the epistle books of Paul, and you think you getting the well-rounded knowledge of God by reading all these other books. That is not the case. The Lord put in the book what he wanted us to read in the last days. He does not want us to learn how to shoot the bow in this captivity. That will come. Zechariah 4 and 6 makes that plain, right? Let's get that. Zechariah chapter 4 verse 6. It says, Then he answered and spake unto me, saying, This is the word of the Lord unto Zerubbabel, saying, Not by might, nor by power, but by my spirit, saith the Lord of hosts. And that spirit is what? The Bible, the spirit of the Bible. Here's another precept for it. Revelation chapter 14, verse 12. It says, Here is the patience of the saints. Here are they that keep the commandments of God and the faith of Jesus. Not those that learn how to pick up the bow and know how to shoot the gun, or nothing wrong with knowing how to defend yourself. But this walk in the last days is not based on rising up and overthrowing a government. This is spiritual war, not physical. Okay, let's go back to 2 Samuel chapter 1 verse 18. Also he bade them teach the children of Judah the use of the bow. Behold, it is written in the book of Jasher. The beauty of Israel is slain upon thy high places. How are the mighty men follow? Tell it not in Gath, publish it not in the streets of Ashkelon, lest the daughters of the Philistines rejoice, lest the daughters of the uncircumcised triumph. Ye mountains of Gilboa, let there be no dew, neither let there be rain upon you, nor fields of offerings, for there the shield of the mighty is vilely cast away. The shield of Saul, as though he had not been anointed with oil, from the blood of the slain, from the fat of the mighty, the bow of Jonathan turned not back, and the sword of Saul returned not empty. Saul and Jonathan were lovely and pleasant in their lives. This is David prophesying now, right? It's almost like you would say this is a eulogy for Saul and Jonathan that David's given in the spirit. Saul and Jonathan were lovely and pleasant in their lives, and in their death they were not divided. So before the devil jumped on Saul, what David telling you, he was all right. He was good. It was good together. But then the devil jumped on Saul, and then he went downhill from there. But before that, he was all right. Saul and Jonathan were lovely and pleasant in their lives, and in their death they were not divided. They were swifter than eagles. They were stronger than lions. So although David and Saul and Jonathan were killed, they still had strength. The reason why all of us die, especially Israel, is because of the Lord. It's because the Lord says that it is time for us to go. All right? That's the only way any of our forefathers died. It was of the Lord, and that's with death and everything. All right? Let's read verse 24. All right, I'm not even going to acknowledge that before I get upset real quick. All right, verse 24. Ye daughters of Israel, weep over Saul, who clothed you in scarlet with other delights, who put on ornaments of gold upon your apparel. How are the mighty fallen in the midst of the battle? O Jonathan, thou wast slain in thine high places. I am distressed for thee. My brother Jonathan, very pleasant hast thou been unto me. Thy love to me was wonderful, passing the love of woman. How are the mighty fallen, and the weapons of war perished? Go to Proverbs 18:24 to explain. We'll explain that verse 26. Thy love was better than it surpassed a woman. Well, what is David saying in the spirit? Proverbs 18. And let's read verse 24. It says, a man that hath friends must show himself friendly. And there is a friend that sticketh closer than a brother. So what is that Saul saying? I mean, David saying? David saying that Jonathan was closer than a brother to him. They was knit at the soul. And you seen that play out when Jonathan gave David news like, hey, don't come tonight. My father's going to try to kill you. Hide here. I'll shoot the bow. I'll let you know. And that was Jonathan giving up his seat to be the king in waiting so David could have it. Right? So that's what it means. He was closer to Jonathan than a brother, closer than a woman. They was close, knitted at the soul. All right. Chapter 2. All right. Send your questions. For those of you just signing on, send your questions to IUIC classrooms, and we captains will answer them as they come in. All right. We'll try to answer them as best we can. All right. Chapter 2. And it came to pass after this that David inquired of the Lord, saying, shall I go up into any of the cities of Judah? And the Lord said unto him, go up. And David said, whither shall I go? Up. And he said, unto Hebron. Talking about, shall I go up, or is it time for me to be king? Right? Verse 2. So David went up thither, and his 2 wives also, Anohiam, the Jezreelitess, and Abigail, Nabal's wife, the Carmelite. This is the Carmelite, Jezreelitess, meaning where they stayed, okay? It's the cities that they stayed. And this man, and his man that were with him, did David bring up, every man with his household, and they dwelt in the cities of Hebron. And the man of Judah came, and there they anointed David king over the house of Judah. And they told David, saying, that the man of Jabesh Gilead were they that buried Saul. And David sent messengers unto the man of Jabesh Gilead, and said unto them, blessed be ye of the Lord, that ye have showed this kindness unto your Lord, even unto Saul, and have buried him. And now the Lord show kindness and truth unto you, and I will also requite you this kindness, because ye have done this thing. Therefore now let your hands be strengthened, and be ye valiant, for your master Saul is dead, and also the house of Judah have anointed me king over them. All right. Verse 8. But Abner the son of Ner, captain of Saul's host, took Ishbosheth the son of Saul, and brought him over to Mahanaim, and made him king over Gilead, and over the Ashurites, and over Jezreel, and over Ephraim, and over Benjamin, and over all Israel. Ishbosheth, Saul's son, of 40 years old, when he was 40 years old when he began to reign over Israel, and reigned 2 years. But the house of Judah followed David. And the time that David was king in Hebron over the house of Judah was 7 years and 6 months. And Abner the son of Ner, and the servants of Ishbosheth the son of Saul, went out from Mahanaim to Gibeon. And Joab the son of Zeruiah and the servants of David went out and met together by the pool of Gibeon. And they sat down, the one of the one side of the pool, and the other on the other side of the pool. And Abner said to Joab, let the young man now arise and play before us. And Joab said, let them arise. That play means compete. All right. Let them compete, right? Let them battle between each other. Remember, the Lord is a man of war. All right. The Lord is a man of war. So when it comes to things like that, we used to do those things back in the day. All right. Let's see here. Okay. Here we go. Verse 15. Then there arose and went over by number 12 of Benjamin, which pertained to Ishbosheth, the son of Saul, and 12 of the servants of David. And they caught every one his fellow by the head, and thrust his sword in his fellow's side. So they fell down together, wherefore that place was called Helkahath-Zorim, which is in Gibeon. And there was a very sore battle that day, and Abner was beaten, and the man of Israel before the servants of David. And there were 3 sons of Zeruiah there, Joab, and Abishai, and Asahel. And Asahel was as light of foot as a wild roe, meaning he was fast. All right, that's what it is, meaning he was fast. All right, verse 19. And Asahel pursued after Abner, and in going he turned not to the right hand nor to the left for following Abner. Then Abner looked behind him and said, Art thou Asahel? He answered, I am. And Abner said to him, Turn thee aside to thy right hand or to thy left, and lay thee hold on one of the young men, and take thee his armor. But Asahel would not turn aside from following him. And Abner said again to Asahel, Turn thee aside from following me. Wherefore should I smite thee to the ground? How then should I hold up my face to Joab thy brother? So basically, Asahel's getting on his nerves. He's getting on his nerves right now. That's basically what he's saying. Asahel, you're getting on my daggone nerves, following behind me. Get from round here. That's what he's saying. All right. Let's see. Verse 23. Howbeit he refused to turn aside, wherefore Abner with the hinder end of his spear smote him under the 5th rib, that the spear came out behind him, and he fell down and died there in the same place. And it came to pass that as many as came to the place where Asahel fell down and died stood still. Basically, what we got is that he made sure he hit him in the right place. Right? He hit him in the right place, so that thing went straight through him. Now you gotta understand, you gotta be strong to send a spear through flesh. You gotta be strong. It gotta be a strong thrust to go straight through. And Abner was. Right? So basically, when people came to that spot, it was like a paying respects to Asahel in that spot right there, because he wouldn't listen. He didn't take heed to the warning. We can learn from that. Take heed to the warnings, right? Somebody say, I'm a end you right here. Take heed to that warning. Don't keep testing them, because they might smoke you under the 5th rib. Okay. Verse 24. Joab also and Abishai pursued after Abner, and the sun went down when they were come to the hill of Ammah, that lieth before Giah, by the way of the wilderness of Gibeon. The children of Benjamin gathered themselves together after Abner and became one troop, and stood on the top of an hill. So now Benjamin's after him. They done rounded up the troops. Is about to go down. Verse 26. Then Abner called to Joab and said, Shall the sword devour forever? Knowest thou not that it will be bitterness in the latter end? How shall it be then, ere thou bid the people return from following their brethren? It's like, come on, it's enough, man. It's enough killing. We're going to kill each other out here. And Joab said, As God liveth, unless thou hadst spoken, surely then in the morning the people had gone up every one from following his brother. So he's like, all right, you made some sense. That's basically what he's saying. All right, you're right. You're making some sense here. I'll relax right now. Verse 28. So Joab blew a trumpet, and all the people stood still and pursued after Israel no more. Neither fought they any more. And Abner and his men walked all that night through the plain, and passed over Jordan, and went through all Bithron, and they came to Mahanaim. And Joab returned from following Abner, and when he had gathered all the people together, there lacked of David's servants 19 men, and Asahel. But the servants of David had smitten of Benjamin and of Abner's man, so that 360 men died. And they took up Asahel and buried him in the sepulchre of his father, which was in Bethlehem. And Joab and his men went all night, and they came to Hebron at break of day. All right, chapter 3. 2 Samuel chapter 3. It reads, Now there was long war between the house of Saul and the house of David. But David waxed stronger and stronger, and the house of Saul waxed weaker and weaker. That means those that follow Saul. And David had those that follow him. Right? But the Lord increased David because why? He had been anointed to be the next king over Israel. All right. Verse 2. And unto David were sons born in Hebron. And his firstborn was Amnon and Ahinoam, the Jezreelitess, of Ahinoam, the Jezreelitess. And his second, Chileab, of Abigail, the wife of Nabal, the Carmelite. And the third, Absalom, the son of Maacah, the daughter of Tamai, king of Geshur. And the fourth, Adonijah, the son of Haggith. And the fifth, Shephatiah, the son of Abital. And the sixth, Ithraim, by Eglah, David's wife. These were born to David in Hebron. And it came to pass, while there was war between the house of Saul and the house of David, that Abner made himself strong for the house of Saul. And Saul had a concubine whose name was Rizpah, the daughter of Aiah. And Ishbosheth said to Abner, Wherefore hast thou gone in unto my father's concubine? And was Abner very wroth for the words of Ishbosheth, and said, Am I a dog's head, which against Judah do show kindness this day unto the house of Saul thy father, to his brethren, and to his friends, and have not delivered thee into the hand of David, that thou chargest me today with a fault concerning this woman? He's like, how you gonna say something about me with this? She's a concubine, dude. Her husband's dead. You tripping. Is what Abner said. He said, you tripping, man. Especially coming to me like that. After all I done did for you, I'm watching your back so David don't run over your ass. So you can still be the makeshift king. So basically he offended Abner. Let's see what happens after that. Verse 9. So do God to Abner, and more also, except as the Lord hath sworn to David, even so I do to him. What the hell? See, Ma, what are y'all doing on here, people? Oh, come on here advertising y'all stuff, man. Stay in order before you get blocked. Unbelievable. All right. Moving on. Verse 9 again. So do God to Abner, and more also, except as the Lord has sworn to David, even so I do to him, to translate the kingdom from the house of Saul, and to set up the throne of David over Israel and over Judah, from Dan even to Beersheba. And he could not answer Abner a word again, because he feared him. So basically, dude, Abner's like, you know what? We done. I'm through with you. You done tried me over this woman who ain't nothing. You done for. I'm cutting you off. I'm following David and going with the Lord. Verse 12. And Abner sent messengers to David on his behalf, saying, Whose is the land? Saying also, Make thy league with me. Behold, my hand shall be with thee to bring about all Israel unto thee. And he said, well, I will make a league with thee. This is David responding. But one thing I require of thee, that is, thou shalt not see my face, except thou shalt first bring Michal, Saul's daughter, when thou comest to see my face. And David sent messages to Ishbosheth, Saul's son, saying, deliver me my wife, Michal, which I espoused to me for 100 foreskins of the Philistines. And Ishbosheth sent and took her from her husband, even from Phaltiel, the son of Laish. And her husband went with her along, weeping behind her to Bahurim. Then said Abner unto him, go, return. And he returned. Basically, hey man, stop, dude. Just stop all the damn whining. Stop all the damn crying. The David, the king, want her, and I'm taking him. Back up before I put a sword through your fifth, a spear under your fifth rib. The dude's like, all right, you can have her. I'm done. Take her. Oh man, verse 17. And Abner had communication with the elders of Israel, saying, ye sought for David in times past to be king over you. Now then do it. For the Lord has spoken of David, saying, by the hand of my servant David, I will save my people Israel out of the hand of the Philistines and out of the hand of all their enemies. And Abner also spake in the ears of Benjamin. And Abner went also to speak in the ears of David in Hebron, all that seemed good to Israel, and that seemed good to the whole house of Benjamin. So Abner came to David to Hebron, and 20 men with him. And David made Abner and the men that were with him a feast. And Abner said unto David, I will arise and go, and will gather all Israel unto my lord the king, that they may make a league with thee, and that thou mayest reign over all thine heart, over all that thine heart desireth. And David sent Abner away, and he went in peace. And behold, the servants of David and Joab came from pursuing a troop, and brought in a great spoil with them. But Abner was not with David in Hebron, for he had sent him away, and he was gone in peace. When Joab and all the host that was with him were come, they told Joab, saying, Abner the son of Ner came to the king, and he has sent him away, and he is gone in peace. Now remember, Abner killed Joab's brother, Asahel, right? Verse 24, then Joab came to the king and said, what hast thou done? Behold, Abner came unto thee. Why is it that thou hast sent him away, and he is quite gone? Thou knowest Abner the son of Ner, that he came to deceive thee, and to know thy going out and thy coming in, and to know all that thou doest. It's like, you can't trust this dude. Me and him already got beef. David, you can't trust this dude. I'm your man's. You can't trust him. Verse 26. And when Joab was come out from David, he sent messages and after Abner, which brought him again from the well of Sirah. But David knew it not. And when Abner was returned to Hebron, Joab took him aside in the gate to speak with him quietly, and smote him there under the fifth rib, that he died for the blood of Asahel, his brother. He had payback on him. He got payback. Blood was burning. You know he wanted revenge. Abner was dumb as hell to go right there. He already knew what Joab was going to do. But it was of the Lord. Verse 28. And afterward, when David heard it, he said, I and my kingdom are guiltless before the Lord forever from the blood of Abner the son of Ner. Let it rest on the head of Joab and on all his father's house, and let there not fail from the house of Joab one that hath an issue, or that is a leper, or that leaneth on a staff, or that falleth on the sword, or that lacketh bread. So Joab and Abishai his brother slew Abner, because he had slain their brother Asahel at Gibeon in the battle. Asahel shouldn't have been in the battle anyway. told him, hey man, Abner told him though, I told him, hey man, go somewhere else, man. Play with them, go mess with one of them other ones. You don't want none of this. I said, hell, wouldn't leave him alone. But Joab went and got revenge. That's why David's like, my hands is clean from this dude. They was out there sporting, fighting, like Israel do, because the Lord was a man of war, was playing games. He knew what was at risk. My hands is clean from what Joab just done. Clean. I don't put that on me, Lord. All right, verse 31. And David said to Joab and to all the people that were with him, rend your clothes and gird you with sackcloth and mourn before Abner. And King David himself followed the coffin. And they buried Abner in Hebron. And the king lifted up his voice and wept at the grave of Abner. And all the people wept. And the king lamented over Abner and said, died Abner as a fool dieth? Thy hands were not bound, nor thy feet put into fetters. And here goes David. This is basically a eulogy again. That's how I like to, in my mind, I can remember it. David's giving a eulogy again, but he's prophesying through the Spirit about Abner, right? Thy hands were not bound, nor thy feet put into fetters. As a man falleth before a wicked man, so fellest thou. And all the people wept again over him. And when all the people came to cause David to eat meat while it was yet day, David swore, saying, so do God to me, and more also, if I taste bread or aught else till the sun be down. And all the people took notice of it, and it pleased them. And whatsoever the king did pleased all the people. So David was rolling in the right spirit. He was getting the love of the nation. The Lord was dealing with him. Verse 37, for all the people and all Israel understood that day that it was not the king to slay Abner, the son of Ner. And the king said unto his servants, know ye not that there is a prince and a great man fallen this day in Israel? And I am this day weak, though anointed king, and these men, the sons of Zeruiah, be too hard for me. He says, so basically, Joab and Abishai, man, these dudes right here, they ruthless, man. They just, I can't even be around them. They just too much for me. They just uncomfortable to be around. They mess around, kill you for anything. Let's read that again. It says, verse 39. And I am this day weak, though anointed king, and these men, the sons of Zeruiah, be too hard for me. The Lord shall reward the doer of evil according to his wickedness. They're going to get payback. And we know that came back with Solomon about Joab. 2 Samuel chapter 4. And when Saul's son heard that Abner was dead in Hebron, his hands were feeble, and all the Israelites were troubled. And Saul's son had two men that were captains of bands. The name of the one was Baanah, and the name of the other Rechab, the sons of Rimmon, a Berothite of the children of Benjamin. For Beroth also was reckoned to Benjamin. And the Berothites fled to Gittaim, and were sojourners unto this day. And Jonathan, Saul's son, had a son that was lame of his feet. He was 5 years old when the tidings came of Saul and Jonathan out of Jezreel. He was 5 when they found out they died, right? And his nurse took him up and fled, and it came to pass as she made haste to flee that he fell and became lame, and his name was Mephibosheth. So she picked him up and ran, because historically, whenever a king takes over and reigns, he kills all the descendants of the former king to make sure that nobody can overthrow him. That's why she fled. You see it in movies all the time. Verse 5. And the sons of Rimmon, the Berothite, Rechab and Baanah, went and came about the heat of the day to the house of Ishbosheth, who lay on a bed at noon. And they came thither. Remember, Ishbosheth is the king of everyone that followed Saul. This is Saul's son, Ishbosheth. So he's on the bed at noon. It's hot out there, highest point. Laid down. And they came thither into the midst of the house, as though they would have fetched wheat. And they smote him under the fifth rib. Israel got something about smiting your ass with under the fifth rib. Yeah, right up in there. You done for. Up under the fifth rib. Yeah. You're done. Blood gonna pour out like water. So it says here, they smote him under the fifth rib, and Rechab and Baanah, his brother, escaped. For when they came into the house, he lay on his bed in his bedchamber, and they smote him, and slew him, and beheaded him, and took his head. They didn't have to do all of that. They didn't have to do all of that. They too hard. It's just too much. They went overboard. They smote him, slew him, and beheaded him, and took his head, and gat them away through the plain all night. And they brought the head of Ishbosheth unto David to Hebron, and said to the king, Behold, the head of Ishbosheth, the son of Saul thy enemy, which sought thy life. And the Lord hath avenged my lord the king this day of Saul and his seed. David didn't have no problems with Saul's kids. It was with Saul that was trying to kill him. Israel being out of order, taking things upon their own self, going overboard. Look what David says in verse 9. And David answered Rechab and Baanah, his brother, the sons of Rimmon, the Beerothite, and said unto them, As the Lord liveth, who hath redeemed my soul out of all adversity? When one told me, saying, Behold, Saul is dead, thinking to have brought good tidings. Hey man, y'all ain't doing me no favor. You ain't doing me no justice. This ain't how I wanted the kingdom to come about. And it says here, verse 10, when one told me, saying, Behold, Saul is dead, thinking to have brought me good tidings, I took hold of him and slew him in Ziklag, who thought that I would have given him a reward for his tidings. How much more when wicked man have slain a righteous person in his own house upon his bed? Like, man, y'all tripping. The dude is at rest. The dude's sleep. It ain't even a man-to-man battle for the kingdom. Like, hey, let's do this. Let's do it right. Let's get in the ring. Let's duke it out. Let's box it out and make the best man win. You snuck up on the dude while he was asleep. Y'all ain't right. I said, y'all ain't right, man. Y'all wicked man. That ain't how we do things. Verse 11. How much more when wicked man have slain a righteous person in his own house upon his bed? Shall I not therefore now require his blood of your hand and take you away from the earth? And David commanded his young man, and they slew them and cut off their hands and their feet and hanged them up over the pool in Hebron. But they took the head of Ishbosheth and buried it in the sepulchre of Abner in Hebron. Hey, when the Lord has his own way of doing things. Do not pull the cart before the horse. You read about that in Maccabees, about the two brothers that led the band of people that wanted to get a name for themselves, but it was not of them, of who Israel would be redeemed or saved from. They got killed and got other people killed in the process. That's why the Lord says, let all things be done decently and in order. It was overkill. They did too much. That wasn't how David got down. And that's why the Lord said David is a man after my own heart. He did not accept that, but like, yes, I'm glad y'all did it for me. I know it was wrong. I'm glad y'all did it for me because I didn't want to do it. So all praise that y'all do it. He didn't let them slide on their wickedness. He called them out, and they received the judgment for taking another man's life. Right? Especially when it was not ordained of the Lord and the order was not given by the king. All right. So that's it for today, man. It was a good session. Ain't really too much in there. It's just that history right there is just good to read and to understand. And Lord's will, as we read on, furthermore, in the chapters, we'll get more precepts and things of that nature. But prepare for the closing of the feast. Feast of Tabernacles, all praise to the Most High. Pray for those that, the spirits of those that we have lost during this tabernacle. We had a brother and a sister that the Lord called them home and laid them at rest. So pray that the Lord have mercy on their souls and that we see them again, because the scriptures say that the dead in Christ shall rise first. Okay. Once again, if you got questions before we go here, send them to IUIC classrooms, and we will go through and answer them. Okay. IUIC classrooms, and we'll answer those questions. All right. All right, Israel. So with that, we say shalom.